unit 6 today. Okay, that is planar and non-planar graph. Okay, this is last unit of graph theory. So we will try to discuss each and every concept. Okay, uh, a little bit quick, but if you have any problem in any particular concept, you can ask me to stop at that point, and you can ask me what is the problem on that. Okay, let's go on. So first of all, what is a planar graph? Okay, so as we know that it's a basic concept of planar graph is if it can be any graph. Okay, any graph is said to be planar if it can be drawn on a plane so that no two edges crossover will be there. Okay, no edge crossover is there means that means no two edge cross each other at any non-vertex point. Non-vertex point means, let's say this point is non-vertex point. Okay, if I talk about this one is non-vertex point. Okay, because this is not a vertex, but they are crossing each other, so it's apparently look like a planar graph. Okay, similarly this graph is not this is apparently look like a non-planar graph because the edge crossover is there. So edge crossover is there means it's a non-planar. Now this graph is not having any edge crossover, so it's going to be planar graph. Okay, that's the basic concept of planar. Now what is called an embedding? A drawing of the geometric representation of a graph on any surface. Okay, it's a geometric representation. Embedding is a geometric representation of on any surface such that no edge intersection is there. Okay, it's called the embedding. That means whenever any graph is given to you, like this is a graph K4 is given to you. If I want to find the embedding of this graph, if I want to embed this graph, so I'm not sure whether this embedding is possible or not. So we will try to embed. Every time we will try to embed. Try to embed means we will try to redraw this graph. Redrawing in such a manner, redrawing in such a manner such that there will be no edge crossover. Okay, so we can place edge this edge, let's say A B C D. Now we can place this BD edge from outside. Okay, so that is another way of representation, and this is going to be a embedding. So whenever embedding is possible for any graph, okay, then that graph is known as a planar graph. So that is called the real definition of a planar graph. So embedding possible means it's a planar graph. Embedding is not possible means not a non-planar graph. Okay, so a apparently it may look like it's a non-planar, but you have to try to embed this graph as long as possible. If we can embed this graph, okay, uh, that means if you can redraw this graph in such a manner that there will be no edge crossover, then that graph is known as a planar graph. This is the basic definition of planar graph. Now now like this graph is a non-planar graph, as you know, is apparently look like it's non-planar graph. But whenever I can redraw, okay, whenever I'm redrawing this graph, it becomes a planar graph. So if someone asks you in exam, okay, that is a non-planar or planar. So apparently look like a non-planar, but after embedding, it's a planar graph. So it is a planar graph, okay. But in exam, sometimes some question arise that Abisa, we don't have any idea about Viva. Someone asked me, yes, Abisa asked me. No idea about Viva. I will let you know about Viva. Okay, we'll definitely let you know about Viva. Most probably next week. Okay, so that is all about the planar and non-planar graph. A few applications is there, like uh, connecting utilities is one of the biggest applications through pipelines. Okay, so electricity, water, natural gas pipelines, how they uh, connect them. Okay, so it's a task of doing using a planar graph. Okay, So now there are two graphs which are actually very important graph for us. This is K5 and K33. The first one is the Kuratowski's first graph. Okay. Ebison, I'm not taking the attendance. Okay, let me take the attendance for all of you. After that, if it's not convenient, you can leave at any point of time. Okay. Let me take the attendance first. If this topic is already done by you, you don't want to revise, then just a minute. Let me take the attendance. Okay, I think it's a A batch. So I think mm, okay. So let me check who is there. I think Suman Sachit. Sachit is present. Suman is there. Mahima is there also. Mahima, Ebisa, Ebisa, Mahima, and Naul, Daniel, Ranim, and Suman. Okay, Suman, and Naul and Ranim. Okay. Okay, I have taken the attendance. Now just you can attend the class. Okay. Now whenever you feel that it's not required for you, you can leave the class at any. Don't need to inform me. Okay. So
Sir, me too. It didn't register my name.
yes, I marked you present. Running.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, sir.
So this graph is called K5 and this graph is K33. Okay. The first graph is your Kuratowski's first graph and the second one is Kuratowski's second graph. So the first graph is actually these two graphs is important because these two graphs are a basic um, no, non-planar graph. Okay, so basic non-planar graph means this is the primary level non-planar graph. Lots of non-planar graph will be there, but these two graphs are primary levels. Okay, so what are there are few theorems we can prove this graphs that they are non-planar. The complete graph with five vertices. That complete graph with five vertices non-planar means Kuratowski's first graph is non-planar. So we can ask this question in the exam. Let's prove that Kuratowski's first graph is non-planar. You can prove it step by step manner. First, you can take five vertices, then draw a complete graph means we must have I can join all these vertices from outside. Okay, and after that we'll try to join the edges one by one. So first I join v2 and v3, then I join all other edges like v2 and v5. Okay, either you can join from inside or you can join from outside. So you have joined it from outside, and after that the last uh, possibility is that you can join v3 and v5 like this here. Again v3 and v5 like this, and the last thing is that we have to join v2 and v4. So we cannot join v2 and v4 either from outside or from inside. So there will be a edge crossover must be there. So that's why there will be an edge crossover. Okay, so that is going to be uh, non-planar graph. Okay, so this is k5 is non-planar, that's why we can prove it. Similarly, k33 K33 is Kuratowski's second graph. Kuratowski's second graph is a complete bipartite graph. K33 is complete bipartite graph, and we can we can easily make an isomorphism of this complete bipartite graph. So we will deal with that isomorphism. Okay, this is also K33. Someone can ask me, sir, what is K33? This is K33 is a standard form, and if you use the isomorphism of K33, it becomes like this. So 6 vertices, you can join all the opposite one. Okay, so we have to mm, we have to we have to join the edges in such a manner we can make a planner. Okay, so how we can start? Similarly, we will go with the flow. We'll start with very basic stuff, like this is a outside one, so we will make it like okay. Okay, so now we will try to join the inside one. So first I can join these two. Okay, after joining these two, there are two possibilities. Either you can join from inside, but I cannot join from inside because there will be an edge crossover. So either I have to join outside. Okay, these two I have to join from outside. Now these two are left. Either you can join from inside or outside. No matter where you can try to join, always there will be an edge intersection. So this is the last edge intersection, and that picture you have to draw. That's why K33 is not is a non-planar graph. Okay, so yeah, you can prove this K33 and K5 are non-planar like this manner. Few properties are there. Both graphs are simple graph. Okay, K33 and K5 both are simple graph. Both are non-planar. Okay, and removal of one edge or one vertex makes them planar. Okay, so it's the good news is that if I remove one vertex or one edge from K33 or from K5, it becomes a planar graph. So I mean, they apparently look like it's non-planar. So it is a difficult task to make a planar graph by make a planar graph by embedding. So you have to embed the graph whenever we are removing one edge or one vertex from any K5 or K33. Okay. So Kuratowski's first graph is non-planar with the smallest number of vertices, like K5 is having 5 vertices. So 5 vertices is the smallest number of vertices, that is called having the non-planar graph. Okay, and Kuratowski's second graph is the non-planar with smallest number of edges, and we know that there will be total 9 edges are there. So 9 edges is going to be the smallest number of edges, which is corresponds to Kuratowski's second graph. Okay, so that's the that two both are the simplest non-planar graph, obviously. So this is a question you can easily go through with this, like which of the following is a planar graph. So obviously you can identify which one, like first one is obviously planar. Okay, because there is no edge intersection. Similarly, this one is also planar, no edge intersection. This one you can make it from outside, you can embed this, embedding is possible. This one no edge intersection, no edge intersection. So all are going to be planar graph here. Okay. Check whether the following graphs are planar or not. Yes, K4 is planar. K23 by checking, without checking the graph, you can easily say K23 is not K33. So K33 is the smallest minimum non-planar graph. So obviously K23 should be planar. K43 is obviously non-planar because K33 is the minimal. That means above K33 all are non-planar. So K43 is also non-planar. Peterson graph you can check is non-planar or planar. It's a non-planar graph. You have to try. I mean, we can ask you check whether Peterson graph is non-planar or planar. You have to draw the graph and try your level best to make a embedding. Okay, at last you will fail to embedding. Okay, embed the graph. So embedding the following graphs into planar graphs. So it's like this. This is a K5, and only I remove this edge. Okay, so it becomes a planar graph. So this is difficult sometimes to make this graph embedding. Okay, so try to move this vertex in such a manner, okay, like D. What we have done here, we change this, we take this B into the inside of the graph, okay. So whenever I take this B inside of the graph, automatically all the other vertices I mean placed its own place, okay. So that means we can construct a planar graph. We can construct the embedded version of this graph, okay, easily. Similarly, embedding the following graph into planar graph is possible. So they ask you a few questions whether the embedding is possible or not. You can check all the graphs, like this one is a K33, so not possible, obviously. Okay, it's not possible. You can easily identify this few graph. You can check. This is also not is possible because it's a K4. So these two graphs is unknown graph. You can check, like this graph D. We can move outside D. Okay, then it's easily possible to make it embed. Similarly, in this case, we can move E outside, so it is easily possible to embed the graph. Okay, like that you have to follow the rules and try to do hit and trial method. If you are not comfortable with the graphs, try to do hit and trial method, and definitely you'll approach towards the planar graph, or whether this embedding is possible or not. Okay. Now, what is the region? There is two type of regions. One is called um, vertex. So region is only one type of, obviously. So like every planar graph, right? If I have any planar graph, it always divides. I mean, planar means I'm not talking about that uh, planar before embedding. I'm talking about the planar after embedding. Okay, so I'm talking about the embedded planar graph. Okay, so embedded planar graph always divide the graph into some regions. Okay, among all those regions, we will count the number of regions, and always you can find there is one exterior regions. All other are going to be interior regions. So these regions are known as face. Sometimes we can call this as a face, and we can denote is F. Okay, F is the notation of this face. Okay, so region and face are both the same. So we can count the number of regions as going to be uh, number of F, or F equals to that much, or face equals to that much. Okay, in this case, 5 faces are there. So note that the region is not defined in non-planar graph. Obviously, we cannot find so if I have any non-planar graph, we try to embed the graph first, and if I can embed, then we find the region. Otherwise, if embedding is not possible, we cannot find the region of the graphs. Okay. Now, what is Euler's formula? This is quite important theorem. You can ask generally. It asked in regular interval of your final exam. So it's very important theorem. It's most important, I must say. Okay. So the connected planar graph with n vertices and e number of edges and f number of faces is called is having n minus e plus f equals to 2. So n minus e plus f equals to 2. We can prove it up using induction method. So first we can take e equals to 0. Automatically it's proved. E equals to 0 means there is no edge. No edge means there should be only one vertices we can construct. Okay, and because we cannot draw two vertices with no edge, because it's a connected graph. The connectedness is important. Okay, I'm not talking about the disconnected graph. Okay, so similarly, whenever we have only single vertex means this must having one exterior region. So region is also face equals to 1. So 1 minus 0 plus 1 equals to 2, clearly is satisfying. Similarly, I'm expecting that this is a for e number of edges is true always. So what we have to prove? We have to prove it for e plus 1 number of edges. Okay. So we make some cases. So first case is going to be when G is a tree. So when G is a tree within e plus 1 number of edges, there is no cycle. Obviously, tree is having no cycle. It contains only one face, which is exterior face. Obviously, tree is having only one face. Okay, every tree is having only one face. Also, tree with e plus 1 edges. Okay, e plus 1 edge, every tree which is having e plus 1 edges, so number of vertices would be e plus 2. Okay, because if I have n number of vertices in a tree, so number of edges of a tree is going to be n minus 1. So if I have e plus 1 number of edges, so obviously number of vertices is e plus 2. So plugging in n minus e plus f equals to e plus 2 minus e plus 1 plus 1, it becomes 2. So satisfying. Similarly, case 2 is a graph which is having e plus 1 number of edges and containing at least one cycle. Why am I taking at least one cycle? Because the first case I have taken that is having no cycle, that means it's a tree. Okay, so there will be two possibilities. Either is having at least one cycle. At least one cycle means I'm considering uh, 4 cycle, 5 cycles, 7 cycles, whatever. At least one cycle means I'm considering the all cases. Okay, so let's pick an age of age p from this cycle. Okay, I'm picking up age p from that cycle. And if I remove that age p from the cycle, so let's say g is a graph. Okay, make a graph like this. Okay, so this graph is a graph now, and this is a cycle. Let's say v1, v2, v3, v4. So v1, v2, v3 is a cycle, and this is h. So if I remove hp over here from here, okay. So what happened if I remove hp, then it becomes a new graph, like g was initial graph. Now if I remove it, it becomes a g dash, right? It becomes g dash. Okay, so it is g dash. Now what is the difference? So first one is having one cycle extra, second one is having only one cycle, first one is having two cycle. Now cycle is correlated with the number of phases. So whenever I'm removing p, number of phases reduce. So first one is having 3 phases. Now in the second one is having only 2 phases. Look at this. Number of vertices same, no change on number of vertices. Only number of edge reduce. So number of edge reduce and number of face reduce. So I'm denoting this stuff over here. So n dash, e dash, and f dash equals to 2. Why it holds true? Why it holds true? N dash, e dash, f dash, n dash minus e dash plus f dash. So what is n prime or e prime and f prime? You have to calculate. Let's look at this case. So G has a fewer region than G dash has a fewer region, obviously. G dash has E edges. So um, yes, why I'm saying it holds true, because I suppose that the G is having E plus 1 number of edges. Okay, it was I assumed. Okay, initially, look at this. Initially, I assumed that it is having e plus 1 number of edges. So whenever I remove one edge, it becomes that g dash is having e number of edges, and that is the turning point. So since it is having e number of edges, so already we have proved that for e number of, not proved, we assume that for e number of edges, it's always true, that formula n dash n prime minus e prime plus f prime is always true. So that's why you can write n prime is minus e prime plus f prime equals to 2. Now what is your number of vertices? No changing on number of vertices. Number of edge is equals to e, because initially it was e plus 1, one reduction, that means it becomes e, and number of faces is also one reduction, that is f minus 1. Initially it was f. Now if I plug in, you will get it is also equals to 2. So we can able to prove it. Similarly, there is one corollary. That corollary is saying that is an inequality satisfying by this connected and planar graph, that always equals to e less than equals to 3n minus 6. That means e and n is going to be the number of edges and number of vertices of the graph respectively. We can prove this using the um, concept of Euler's formula. So we can verify Euler's theorem, or Euler's formula is not Euler's theorem, it's Euler's formula. We can verify Euler's formula from this graph. This is we can easily count the number of vertices, number of edges, and number of faces. So we can easily check n minus e plus f equals to 2. So it's a 3 marks question. It can arise in your exam. So few questions are there. A planar graph is containing 8 vertices. Okay, it's containing 8 vertices, 9 edges, and then how many faces are there? Okay, simple use of Euler's formula. Simple Euler's formula. All over you can easily directly check the Euler's formula. The last concept, second last concept is called graph duality or geometrical dual. So it is one of the important concept. Many times we calculate this dual of a graph. Okay. So what is the dual? So if I have any planar graph, we must need a planar graph to start with. G is a planar graph, let's say. So the geometrical dual is G star can be constructed uh, by placing a vertex in each region of G, including the exterior region. Okay, so we will place a vertex in each region. Okay, also at the same time we will connect those vertices. Just by crossing every edges. We have to cross each and every edges. So let's go for the finding the dual of this graph. So we first put the vertices in each face. So 4 faces are there, so 4 vertices, that blue dot. After that we will connect them. Okay, we will connect those blue dots by crossing over all the edges. So how can I connect them? So let's uh, make this connection, another this connection, because crossing is important, edge crossings. Similarly, if I cross this edge, you have to go outside, so we can cross, we can come here. If I cross this edge, we have to go outside, we can come here. Now this edge is remaining, so if I cross this edge, from this vertex only we can cross, and we have to go there. So this is called self loop. So self loop is there if I have any pendant vertex. So pendant vertex corresponds to any self loop in dual. Now if I cross this edge, it will go up to there. If I cross this edge, it will go up to there, and crossing this one, and crossing this, we'll have this. So this is another planar graph, and look at this. This is the result. So we can find the isomorphism of this graph, and automatically we can find the number of edges, number of vertices, number of faces. Good news is that in this case, if I have this graph, and in this graph is number of vertices is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So n equals to 7, and face is equals to 4, and edges 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. 9 edges are there. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So this is the case for the original graph. So in the context of the dual or G star, self loop is compulsory whenever we have pendant vertex. Okay, self loop is compulsory whenever we have pendant vertex. In this case we have pendant vertex. That's why self loop is there. If there is no pendant vertex, there will be no self loop. Okay, and G star is having, see, number of vertex means it becomes an sorry, face number of face of the graph becomes a number of vertex. So in that case, n becomes 4 and f becomes 7, and e always equals, so no change in e, age will be same. So n changes to f changes to n in the context of original graph to dual graph. Okay, so look at this. Here should be, here we have number of faces equals to 7, and number of vertices equals to 4, and number of edges are same, 9 edges are there. Look at this: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. So 9 edges are there. Okay, so that is how we can deal with. And yes, this is the observation. Number of vertices is number of faces, number of edges is number of edges, no change number of edges, number of faces and number of vertices. So which is called a self-dual graph. Self-dual means if I draw the dual graph, and after drawing the dual graph, we can observe that the isomorphic of the dual graph is again the same graph only. So if I observe K4, K4 is called self-dual graph. Okay, even all wheel graphs are self-dual. I will let you know what is a wheel graph. So K4 is a self-dual because if I draw the um, dual of K4, it becomes K4 again. So these are all the wheel graphs. It's the same similar formula for every wheel graphs. Like if I so there is one center vertex, okay, and this vertex has been connected with all other outside vertex, and it's look like a wheel. Okay, and each and every graphs are planar graph. Okay, that's a good point of wheel graph. And only one graph of a wheel is complete, that is W4. So W4 is only one graph, only one wheel graph is complete, and it is equals to K4, is isomorphic to K4. W4 and K4 are isomorphic to each other, and Wn is the notation of a wheel graph. Wn means number of vertices of that wheel graph. Okay. Now, last concept is called graph coloring. There is two type of coloring is there: vertex coloring and region coloring. So vertex coloring is an assignment of colors uh, to the vertices of the graph of a graph G, such that no two adjacent vertices have the same color. Okay, we have to join the vertices. This is no two vertices have the same color. We have to put the color in such a manner. Okay, adjacent vertices means this, if these two vertices are connected by one single edge, then these two are adjacent. So we cannot put the same color to these two. If I put orange here, this should be black. Okay, this is the main concept of vertex coloring. Okay, so chromatic number means the minimum number of colors required to for vertex coloring is called chromatic number. Minimum number of colors required. Okay, it is possible that we can have many colors, okay, to construct a vertex coloring, but we will go through the minimum number of colors to find the chromatic number. So this is a null graph. So in null graph, all we have the chromatic number is always one, because we can put any numbers, it's red, black, because they are not connected to each other, they are not adjacent, but we will find the minimum numbers. Minimum number is one, so null graph is having chromatic number is one. So only we have a chromatic number one only in the case of null graph. Otherwise, in other graphs, always chromatic numbers are greater than equals to 2. Okay. So this graph is having red. This is I put red. Okay, this is red. This is also red because corner they are not connected. Okay, and this is green, and this one also green because they are not connected. So the chromatic number is 2. Similarly, we can find another thing is that for any complete graph, for any complete graph, okay, complete graph means each and every vertex is connected to each other. So obviously they are connected, all the vertices are connected to each other. That means we have to put n minus 1 number of colors, sorry, n number of colors in the context of the mm, complete graph K. So chromatic number is K, n only. Okay. Last one is region coloring. Region coloring is the same concept like vertex coloring. We will color the regions, okay, one by one, but such that no two regions are having same colors. Okay, so it's a very good applications is there in region colorings like clustering, data mining, image capturing, and networking, and so on. Okay. So finding the geometric duals, you can find the geometric duals of these questions easily. It's possible. These are the examples. Find the chromatic numbers of these following graphs. So if I want to find the chromatic numbers, easily you can do like if I want to find this, if I put a red color over here, I cannot put red over here, red over here, red over here. So obviously another red will be there. Okay, because to find the chromatic number, we have to deal with the vertex coloring. So another color I can put here is going to be uh, green. If I put green over here, obviously I can put green over here. Okay, and obviously I have to import another color, that is yellow. If I plug in yellow over here, okay, so this one should be yellow. So this is a chromatic number of this graph is 3. You can find a chromatic number like this man. Similarly, region coloring, so we have to find the number of regions, so always try to find the minimum number of regions. Okay, That is what they are intended for. So if I toggle with this graph, if I draw this region by red, this is red means this one I can draw by red because they are not adjacent region. This one is also not adjacent regions. This one is not also adjacent regions. Similarly, this color you can put they are not adjacent regions. Okay, so all can put red here, and similarly this is also you can put red, not adjacent because they are connected only by one point. Adjacent means one common edge will be there. No common edge means it's not adjacent. So all other is going to be green. All other is going to be green. Okay, so that's why the two colors is good enough to draw this region color. That's all about this ringlet. So please now ask me about any, if you have any doubts or anything you want to revise, or else we can wind up over here. Please ask me. Anything further? Mahima and I think now Mahima, Signi and running. Anything further you want to ask? Please ask. Mahima, Signi and running. Hello. Okay, Signi, no problem. You can leave. So I'm closing the session now. Yes, Mahima, I can do. For chromatic number. Is Mahima this is, let's say, let's go for this question here. Chromatic number. Already done, Signi, no problem. Your attendance already done. So chromatic number. So if I have this graph, let's put this as red. Okay. If I put this vertex as red, we cannot put this one as red. We cannot put this one as red. We cannot put this one as red because they are uh, uh, adjacent to this vertex. So this one is red, and if I put this one as red, already you can put this one as red. These three are red. So where we cannot put red, we can put another color, that is green, green and green. So chromatic number, the minimum color is required here, Mahima, is 2. So chromatic number is 2. Okay.